Okay, keep in mind they changed my voice so that it sometimes sounds evil, sounds weird, sounds like some weird gay white occultist or something. Because there's a bunch of white Jew and LGBT people who are trying to make it so that certain rich white Jew and LGBT people and the people they mentor and often sexually abuse when they're younger sound better than other people, look better, what have you. It's very stupid. Everyone knows that it's impossible to make the colonial races seem superior. But they're still trying because they're very sick, narcissistic people. Think about the hate groups in society and think about, these rich narcissists and people with crests and from the European governing class, very disgraced people, very disgraced. They're changing my voice. This video is about Maria Mello because I think that the family of Marissa DiNapoli deserves some answers in regards to this issue. Now, her brother looked like he was, maybe a crypto Jew who's Italian. I think it's important to highlight that I'm not racist again because there's people who provoke me racially and fume and poison me to try to cause me to be angry and to say things in a way that people might misconstrue as racist. I'm part black, part white, and as far as anyone could tell, I'm also part Jewish, just ever so slightly. And certainly the Igbos are known as the Jews of Africa. And when you consider Africans are soul brothers, that they're the real Jews in a sense, but that's neither here nor there because, again, there's no Jew or Gentile. It's obey God through me or not. But let's talk about Maria Mello here. Basically, I told the story in my story playlist. I think it's on this same channel here. But there's a lot of stuff there, And as you get to, maybe 20, 30 videos in or whatever, the fumes really start taking their toll. But I tried really hard to post videos that were easier to listen to. So they're fuming right now. I'm by the side of the road. Bear with me. So basically, I got into web school in Claremont, California, when I was like 13 or 14. I was in 8th grade because I scored top 1 percentile in the SSAT. And before that, I used to get bad grades in school, but during 7th and 8th grade, I got pretty good grades, if I remember correctly. And I got into this very competitive college prep school, which I eventually dropped out of. I hate school. I hate the way it's designed. And they were running a PSYOP on me. And I talk about that in my story playlist. So I eventually wind up going to Live Oak High School here in Morgan Hill. And at the time, I identified as somebody who hung out with gang members. And certainly at that point in high school, I was hanging out with people who some were members of gangs, some were affiliates, okay? There's one person from 7 Trees, as the story goes, or his older brothers from 7 Trees, but he was commonly seen as one of them. And eventually I would leave Live Oak High School as well. But before I left, in my physics class, okay, so the first year I went there, during the end of my sophomore year, I saw this very attractive female. I didn't know she was a student president at the time. And she was walking by maybe the back of the campus or some kind of walkway, not in the quad, not anywhere by the main gate, but it's like the back section or something, maybe to the left of the gym or something, one section away. And she's walking in a way that's like a movie, right? She's wearing like a dress or something, and she has a nice, we'll just say she had a nice butt, but that's not what drew my attention. I was looking at it in terms of, wow, this female is extremely gorgeous, and wow, she goes here and she's more mature looking than the other females there, and so on and so forth. And so I think I passed by her, I turned around, I'm looking at her like, wow, right? And then at some point I pray to God that I have a chance to meet her. Okay. Now it turns out that there's a lot of evidence suggests that the PSYOP unit set the stage for that to occur. Even back then in the 90s, they were hacking people's brains and they were telling people what to do and so on and so forth. Believe it or not, I'm sure they have a lot better technology these days than they did back then, but that the evidence suggests that occurred, though I don't know for sure, and I'm someone who deals in facts. Anyway, so the next year, she's in my physics class, and the physics teacher knows my father, and he's a white guy, he's a pretty cool guy. He used to be a bodybuilder. I think he injured his back, and so my dad's a brain surgeon. They also work on backs, a brain and back surgeon, neurosurgeon. And so she used to leave the class like 5 minutes earlier, so I think there was 2 bells. And since I came in late the first year and I wasn't paying attention the second year, I was kind of in my own zone. I smoked marijuana back then, and I was kind of, a little out of it. So I never got the memo that I never understood why there was 2 bells. I just knew that there was 1 bell. Some people seemed to leave early during class. I think sometimes it was her and a couple other students, right? I didn't understand that. I'm like, can you have the option to go in the first bell? I'm like, okay. So the first bell would ring sometimes, and me being high, this is a strange part of the story, I'd stand by the door. Okay. And so she'd have to walk past me, which immediately kind of, I guess it creeped her out or something. She didn't understand. I didn't understand. I was a new kid, right? Came in late the sophomore year, okay, and then left early junior year. So I never got the memo. I never was there at a point when they say, hey, there's 2 bells, or when they said it, it was at a time where I was like, whatever, that doesn't apply to me, and I didn't think about it. Okay. So one day I'm in, I go home at night. I go home in the afternoon, and I start telling myself, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to approach this female, and I'm going to try like a man. I'm going to look back at this one day and say, no matter what happened, I tried like a man. So I'm saying, okay, I come up with a plan. I say I'm going to get really high in the morning, and, even though it's going to kind of wear off by the time I get physics class, I'm going to kind of try to prepare myself. And this is part of why, I basically got caught smoking marijuana in the bathroom later on. It's a story for another day. But let's just focus on this, not why I got kicked out or the conflicts I had with people there or what have you. So in the morning, I walk up to her, right? Not in the morning, excuse me. I mean, after class. I guess it was like around lunchtime or something. I guess the class before lunch. The class before lunch, rather. And so I walk out before she does. Okay. Even though I sit in like the front row. And she sits like the rear left and the back row. But I pack up my stuff quickly sometimes, what have you. So I exited maybe 5 or 6 students ahead of her. So we're all walking out the door in a line. And I stop, I turn around. I walk right up to her. Put out my hand, and she's her friend. She's within the class, right? She's a shorter chick with blonde hair. This chick is, Maria's a taller female with black hair, and like often has a blue, I guess it's called eyeshadow on her eyelids or whatever that is, whatever that is. And so her friend first is like confused, and she looks at me with like a mocker face, like a fraternity mocker face. Because first she's like, huh, what are you doing? Then she's like, oh yeah, that's gonna work kind of face, right? And I'm thinking, I can't just stop here and go, and walk away. Fuck that. And fuck that bitch for making that face. You see what I'm saying? Some white racist bitch face. Okay? And so I put on my hand and say, hi, my name is, Emeka. And, because people call me different things, Mecca, what have you. They call me different things throughout my life. But I say, I introduce myself. Now, if you're a grown man like I am, there's nothing wrong with that. It's respectable. It's respectable. That bitch next to her is a dumb fucking bitch. Maria responds like a childish, dumb bitch. She doesn't respond like the class president. Hey, she's the class president. Why shouldn't he introduce himself? She responds like such a dumb fucking bitch. And that throws me way off. Because I'm thinking either this is going to go well right away, it's going to go really bad, I'm going to walk away and say, okay. But I end up trying to talk to her for a little bit. Okay? And her friend like goes ahead of her, right? And I'm trying to talk to her, and I say, I'm messing up a little bit. I'm a little nervous because they played it in such a way that was so bad. I'm a shy person. I was way out of my character to do so, to try to approach someone like that. And so I'm thinking, man, this sucks, right? And then I ask her, can I walk to her next class? So I walk with her to like her to her locker or something, right? And it's awkward as hell. Okay. And I knew that back it was the 90s. It may as well have been the 50s because to some degree people hang out in their own groups. I'm sure they still do to this day. And so people are thinking, what's this? This black guy hangs out with the Crips and so on and so forth. And the other guys who hang out with him, okay. Why is he walking with this chick, who's like a white Hispanic with very white skin? Okay, believe it or not, that's how fucking petty it was. And fuck you motherfuckers at Live Oak for that. You people are pettier than shit for doing that during when I was there. I was class of 99. And fuck you. This dickhead's really honking. Man, fuck you honking at, you bitch ass, honky ass motherfucker. There's some bitch ass motherfuckers. Anyway, so, dude, do some gang stalking worm. Anyway, so, yeah. So make a long story short, I go home, fucked in the head a bit, And so I say to myself, let me try to find a way around this, because this can't end this way. This can't end this way. This is bullshit. This can't end this way. So I find a phone book and I say, maybe she's in the phone book on a fluke. She was in the phone book, right? But there was like 10 Mellos or something. I knew she was from San Jose. There was like 10 Mellos. So I go through it, boom, 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 boom. I call like 2 or 3. It's like, no, she doesn't live here. I don't know anyone like that. I'm getting all kinds of bitch ass motherfuckers. So eventually, and this is just how I talk, quite often, especially, when I get my zone, don't mind that. Anyway, excuse my French and everything. So eventually I reach her mother. Her mother, very nice lady, very, like, understanding lady. I can respect her mother. I can't respect her or her father as it stands right now. I basically tell her that I'm in her class, and then we have a report, and she's like, oh, she tells me everything, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and she's not here right now, da-da-da-da-da, right? And so I call back later. And she's like, oh, I asked her about her da-da-da-da-da-da. I have to kind of, work the mouthpiece to, kind of talk her up to get her to put her daughter on the phone. The chick is acting scared as fuck, acting dumber than fuck. And I'm like, at least I'm on the phone now, so, it's not in person, it's not so, let me try to, and I choke up. I choke up bad. And she's like, she starts to try to tell me she doesn't want me to talk to her, but she's like not good at putting her foot down. So that leads me to calling her again. And so when I call her again, like another day or something, she's like fucking like, I chalk her up and I get her to try to let me read a poem I wrote to her. Right? You can't make this up. It's like like a movie or something, like a TV show. It's, either it's going to really, 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 really work and she's going to realize her mistake, or it's going to blow up in my fucking face and it's going to stay with me for like eternity. It blows up in my fucking face. Okay? She rejected Jesus in person, on the phone the first time and the second. And she knew my dad was a brain surgeon, right? At least at some point she did. She never tries to approach me, never tries to make it up, to me. Later on, like maybe 10 years ago, I saw her on Facebook or something. I said, maybe now she's a grown person. We can squash this. Maybe not squash. We don't have a beef, right? But we can kind of, I'm sure she was probably married or something, but we can come to an agreement about this thing and to explain to me, what happened and bring closure to it. I didn't think I was lucky enough to date her, but to bring closure. That's after I was already engaged and my ex-fiancé had left for the last time, if I remember correctly, probably about 2010 or 11 or 12 or something. To make a long story short, okay, she doesn't fucking answer the Facebook message. And I think she got rid of her account or something. Even as a woman in her like maybe 30 years old, she wasn't woman enough to respond. I wrote a very nice message, what have you, very understanding. Hey, let's this is me from high school, and and I told her what I want to do. I want to kind of bring some closure. Bitch doesn't fucking respond. Can you imagine that? She does not fucking respond. Okay, be a grown woman. Put your foot down. Say, hey, I don't want to talk to you. Or, okay, yeah, this is what happened. Do. That's all that is. I'd rather not talk to you. Whatever. Be my friend. Whatever. Bitch doesn't respond. She's still that little fucking girl in high school who's acting like she's 2 years old instead of 16. Supposed to be the class president, and she works in a corporation or something.